changed. Yeah. So what do I do?
Like you lean back. Just lean back. Yes. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, wherever it is you're watching us from. Welcome to the Big Picture on African Uncensored. I am your host, Justine Wanda, and today you can see Tom and Jonala Namu are clearly missing because they decided to abandon me. And I am okay because I have been abandoned before. This is a great time to introduce our panelists today because they abandoned me but left me in great company. With me today in studio is Nerima Wako, who's the Executive Director of Siasa Place. And a little bit about Siasa Place, it's an incredible institution, I can call it an institution? Yes, that educates the youth on political processes, the electoral process, the constitution, government institutions and its functions, and you've done an incredible job. You have like 131 million impressions, mnasikia numbers, eh? And Nerima is also like has a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism and Sociology, from Jacksonville State University, and she has a Master's in Public Administration, so she knows what she's talking about. Welcome to the show, Nerima. Lazima nisome accolades, unajua watu wasije we si mtu wa kuchezea. And also we do have Diana. Diana is an empathetic leader. Sindio? I'm getting that right? Yes. An empathetic leader, yes. And you're a human rights advocate. She's an astute campaigner for everything on human rights with 10 years of experience in the field. She's worked in human rights, economic rights, social rights and development. And you're also like a mobilizer and a fundraiser, so you know how to make sure people are properly resourced for the things that they need. And lastly, you have advocated for marginalized and vulnerable groups, including women, displaced stateless persons, gender and sexual minorities, and persons with disabilities. And Diana says she's always ready to raise her voice. Welcome to the show, Diana.
Thank you very much.
Hey, nimebidi nisome like bafo bando mjue. Today we have like proper professionals, unlike this government. We have brought people who actually know what they're talking about. So today's discussion is it's a little bit of a hard place we are as a country. We have seen that the free education is being removed. But then also the president is like, no, the free education is here to stay because it's a constitutional right, but like, where's the money? So just to start us off, this particular situation we find ourselves in as a country, what does free education mean to you? To both of you, what does free education mean to you? Not just historically, but in this particular moment.
In this particular moment, so I find that question difficult because even when you look at the state of public schools and institutions, you would hope that free education also means access to resources, access to having an equal opportunity to succeed in life. But we know that right now that's not what that means, especially for this administration, I was going to say regime, especially for them coming into power and saying, we are for the Hustler Fund, we are for Mama Mboga. So free education is Mama Mboga's children have access to elevate their lives so that they can, move up a ladder when it comes to class and opportunity and access. But that's not what we're seeing. And even when you look at the state of our classrooms, there's tons of pictures of people learning under trees. There's some institutions that I've been to in Kakamega, for instance. That school was built in 1920. And the MP...
Pause. You said, can you just say the year again so people understand? You didn't say, not 2020?
I am very serious. There is a school in Kakamega County, built in 1920 by colonizers, made of mud steel. They had received resources to extend and put another administration block, but we know what the MP did there. They didn't see the resource, and we're seeing children learning basically on dusty floors, no toilet access, small kitchens. You're talking about hundreds of children. Some of them don't even have school uniforms because they can't afford it, and no books. That's the state of education right now.
That is terrifying, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Diana, what does free education mean to you?
Free education means Kenya leads the region in terms of literacy. Free education is the reason we have Gen Zs who question from a very informed perspective. Why? If you're born in 2002, this year you're how old? 23?
23, yeah.
That's properly the Gen Z. They're the ones, if you're born, then you found free primary education. If you're even 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, you're joining primary, you're 30.
Yes.
You benefited significantly from free basic primary and secondary. This show is being shot somewhere in Lavington. Around here, there are a number of private schools. I won't even mention them. The average fee for schools around here per year, is it safe to say on the lower side, 240,000?
That's
Per term or per year?
Per year.
per year.
Even higher.
Thereabout.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you move around the Nairobi metropolitan, then you could be working with, because there are people who go to private schools that can provide everything, but there are people who are so frustrated by the failure of government to fund free primary education. So you go to schools that are in between. You're okay with the structure, the class size being 50, not 20, 19, as would be in this area. But there, the average fee is anything between 60 and 90 per year. When you have free education, the capitation has been 16,000. It means our taxes are delivering for children the most basic of needs. It is giving them a space to socialize. It is also the space in some parts of this country that children access nutrition. It means the burden of caregiving for most Kenyan parents is alleviated by the government. That is what we want to grab away by force, to grab by force. Now, when they say start contributing, and they keep saying, oh, some people can afford, the bulk of the Kenyans cannot. afford that education. That is why 16,000 is very, very important. Way back when I don't like CDF, but I really used to like how Ken Okoth, the late Ken Okoth, used to utilize his CDF in Kibra. The classes around Olympics, all those areas were turned to standards around Lavington. Parents loved him just because you even made the dreams of very poor and vulnerable children change completely. They finally understood that a house can have light. Si kama kwa kina Nerima huko kwao ya Colonial, but that is a dream we are killing. We are shooting ourselves and our development aspirations because we will go back to 30% of children being illiterate. Cumulatively, we will end up with 45% of our population in the next 10 to 20 years being illiterate. We've taken so much pride in our literacy levels. Why would we want to take that away?
I love that you said that, because there's a lot of numbers that I want to get through, but one of the most impressive statistic over the last couple of years is just how many kids have actually been able to go to school. We're looking at over numbers of over 50%, just slightly over 50% of students being able to go to transition from primary school to secondary school, which is a big deal. It's not something that was happening before, but because of the free primary education and the continued capitation of this particular sector, we've seen that kind of transition. In the 70s, the country subsidized education on all levels, not just primary school. It was also for secondary school and also university, and it was evolved to like a cost-sharing approach, which is still there, which means the government pays a certain amount of money, and then the school also pays, the parent also pays a certain amount of money, usually less than they would be paying if it's full fees. But we are seeing a problem with these numbers. As much as they're that high, there's still a very big gap in how kids are funded. And I think both of you have shown how this works. So I'll give an example of the school that Nerima was speaking about in Kakamega. You said it was built in 1920. It was barely revamped, but hundreds of kids go there. And the hidden cost of education as it stands right now, a lot of it is underfunded, and like the kids themselves and their parents have to take care of certain costs. So I'll go through the things that they have to kind of subsidize. Enrollment fees, like if the school needs textbooks or exercise books, the uniforms that they're wearing, activity costs for PE and all these things, tuition costs. Sometimes the basic money is not covering it, so they have to top up tuition costs. And then there's like exam fees, practical costs. If they're in boarding school, the parent probably will have to pay more for boarding. And then there's healthcare in case the kid is hurt. So in this particular situation, right, what are parents doing to survive this particular system? I would like us to paint some kind of economic picture of how parents are surviving to be able to make sure that the kids get an education. Sure. Yes. Diana, would you go first?
Okay, let me just, I don't know, we'll keep walking down memory lane because national schools, I think their annual fee, the contribution of parents is about 60-something thousand. Then extra county, you come to 40 thereabout. But with a diminishing capitation, delays in paying, and then there was a time, other than the fee that is gazetted, schools were not supposed to charge anything else. They cannot charge a parent additional fee. So Parents Association have had to face the reality of what principals of particularly secondary schools go through. And as a result, Justine, I'm a parent of Gen Zs. And to be honest, it is just crazy. When I was in secondary, just being admitted in a public school meant once my mother uses all her credit in SACCO to pay my fee, that is it. I have exercise books, I have textbooks. So the little money I'll earn in the village is for stationery and sanitary ware. Food, everything else is completely covered. A fully furnished library. And that makes
Within the school.
Within the school. No paying for extracurricular. If you're the scientist, if you're into sport, all that is covered for within the fee that your parent pays and the capitation that comes from government. What are schools doing right now? The capitation is not available, so they start by giving you a list. Please buy 32 exercise books, 200 pages. Each book is, what's the cost? Is it 95? I'll confirm. But all of a sudden, just for stationery, writing books to write notes, a parent has to cough 3,500. I attended a meeting in Nakuru where this was introduced, and 2 parents just raised their hands. They're like, we can't. We have used all our money to pay the school fees. What was the other stopgap measure that was introduced? That parents who can afford, let us now work on textbooks because they are not available. We will buy a screen where we will be using a PowerPoint to showcase, to go through the books. First, that kills our publishing industry. Then secondly, Nerima here, you've had her, she must be very fast in reading than me. So we go at whose pace? Next slide. If you're left behind, what do you use to revise? Nothing. That is how people are coping. Schools, I am sure, are working to raise fee indirectly for fear of being reprimanded using techniques such as uniforms. So uniforms will have a very high margin just so that the schools can survive. Then when you come, that's for both stationery exercise books and textbooks. For practicals in our schools, I do not want to say, I'll allow Nerima, but that's how we are
That's
coping.
how parents are like, that's what you have to do.
Yes, that is what we've done to ourselves.
That is terrifying. I don't know, Nerima, through your work, how are parents?
So the work that we do, there's a campaign called Msomi Mnyonge. And what Diana is talking about is very, very true. What we saw is parents are left responsible for actually coming with reams of paper. That's a requirement that they have to buy. They say it's for exams, and then your child, they don't even see an exam paper. So even wonder where that ream of paper went. But there's also activities. There are some children who are paying for sports, and it's not even to buy the uniform or for the, we don't even know what they're paying toward. And we've seen a lot of rogue principals basically demanding costs to things and then forcing children out of school who don't pay and requiring them to pay the principal directly to allow their child to go back to school. And highlighting some of those instances, we have seen the ministry shuffle some of these individuals. But it's not just a one institution kind of issue. It's across the board. And we've also realized that some parents just stop educating their children.
Yes.
Yes, I know of a mother, she lost her husband, and all 4 of her children do not go to school. Afford it for one child. So all of them will stay home with me, and we work together. They help me sell avocados, and this is the work that we are all doing to be able to put food on the table. So that's what we're seeing. We're actually seeing a high number of children now being forced out of school because family just cannot keep up and pay. And this is lower primary. Yeah.
That's like all this, because those are not just, it's not one person's story. It's individual stories that then combine and then become an even, it has a bigger domino effect, not just like to the family itself, but to the entire society, to that community, to what they deem as progress on an individual level and also like as a community capacity. So I'll go through like one last statistic before I ask this question. So education capitation moved from 10,000 to 22,000 by 2018 for secondary school enrollment, which is seen as good, but also we have to adjust that for inflation. And also remember that a lot of that money was not going directly to schools because every day we are shuffling. Like it's, every day it's like it has to be moved around for the money to work. And I also saw a chart that said this year's budget put 700 billion for education, right? That sounds like a lot of money. Everyone is like, it's 700 billion, it's a lot of money. And someone was arguing with me on this, and I was like, out of the 700 billion, over 300 billion is going to TSC for salaries and like for hiring teachers. That's if they palitafika, that's like the suggestion is 700 billion, and then that money is given 50% and then 30% and then 20%, right? Yeah. So through the previous administrations, learners were not not funded, and the deficit in the budget has been, so like this is the deficit from the year 20, the deficit, then 6.1 billion the next year, 16.1 billion the year after that, 17.3 billion, 17.6, 7.9, and then 15 billion. In this financial year. But these numbers, these are very, it's just 15 billion to that student, and what happens to the institutions, even in of themselves, in trying to retain getting students to come back. What does defunding education in that particular sense look like?
Have you seen the state of TVETs? Like, what it looks like is you have buildings where there's equipment but no instructors. What in terms of people are being taught with outdated vehicles, being taught to be mechanics when our cars are moving toward automated, machinery.
More electric.
Being wasted. And this same institution uses the dining hall as also a meeting room for the students' assembly, as well as a staff with bars to become makeshift rooms where they can now have different classes. That's what defunding the education sector looks like. So when you have someone here saying that we're young people, we infrastructure that exists for education, to the kind of material that exists for education is a complete mismatch compared to what is needed and required for this generation to exist and survive. So frankly, lie to make them believe that just because now you have access to a TVET, mind you, I didn't even tell you there are no residence halls. They don't exist in this TVET.
At all.
At all. So you'll find someone has been assigned, she's from Mombasa to Busia County with her mother. They're like, okay, let's see if we can find a place to stay, at least tumeitwa. Wendo wa kwanza kuingia. So they can't find places for this girl to stay. So what do? They move her back to Mombasa. No, you have
entire
no
dream crashed.
It is crashed, which is a lie. We've seen how now people are looking for opportunity. The people who migrate the most in our country are young people.
Yes. And it's usually, again, in search of opportunity.
Yes.
So defunding education is what the impact of free education did. What free education actually meant, not just for the Gen Z generation, but like for their parents, what free education meant for how do I frame this? What is the impact of free education? And Diana, I would like you to take this. Like, what is the impact of free education, and why is that not realized? And how do we get to a point where, when we talk about free education, we restructure or like think about free education in and of itself?
Justine, what free primary education did and does, it did away with a class of Kenyans where you a classroom to a situation where even Kenyans who employ casual laborers, if you come with a school-going child during the school term, I will treat you very differently. Like, why is your parents who are resisting? Because this was a new concept to them. They are Kenyan parents who give birth to children back then. And then in their mind, because of how costly the education was, they knew, I stay with my children at home, and they start onboarding them onto the money in over 70% of this country. Even in arid areas where you have very, very high instances of malnutrition and so on, it was addressed by free primary education. This year, we'll say it's 30% of the national budget. Maybe about the revenue this year that we've collected is about 2.4 trillion, but you can treat the 700 billion as 70 shillings, and the cent to 240 of the revenue, it still looks very significant. But the bulk of that money, leave alone the teachers, goes to quote unquote infrastructure development.
What does that mean?
It means tenders to construct classrooms of a quote and make profit as the most fundamental resources continue to struggle. It means the failure to prioritize properly. And don't forget that this is of what is our education system, because we're in CBC. Junior secondary school students, most of them who are in public schools, didn't study for close to 18. Based on the number of schools we have across the country. Then you're going to decrease that particular amount of money. Because as we defund currently secondary school, it means we are getting ready to defund. Particular transition from 844 to CBC created an economy for tenderpreneurs.
In what sense? Could you kindly break it down? Because I know you had said kids, and I'm usually like, umelipa fees. Like, I ask her every time because I see I have a conversation with her. I'm always panicking because I'm like, iyo ni ya kitabu tu, like that's only for the books. What happened of
the broken down
of the tenders? Like, what do those tenders look like?
Hey, you've even taken me there. No, CBC, they withdrew all their textbooks at some point. Then the actual books are the teachers. Oh, wow. So what the books you bought, most probably we will have to buy them again when the proper books and curriculum are approved. Back. Because whenever it is the opportunity for a new publishing, a whole declaration is made, and we have to shift to curriculum is not that, it's not that complicated. Our teachers are well trained to develop it in properly. Most of the private schools are actually teaching simultaneously either 844 and CBC or an international model and CBC, so that they hook entrepreneurship. But there's JSS. We have created JSS to look like this new concept. We never had schools in this country. We never had structures. So we are building them from scratch. Why are we building from scratch? CBC is as 844. We have built primary schools. We have built secondary schools. We want them to be empty. That is the same thing we did for universities. we decided to create satellite campuses across every village and campuses and let go of the other structures.
Yes.
All the universities that are closing are starting by selling assets that are in Turkana, Angawea, and so on. But in this budget as well, part of what we must construct afresh is TVET, the disbursement. The disbursements for those tenders are disbursed on time. National versus...
It's about 13 million. 13, yes.
Those are things that is where we are losing the bulk of the money in those types of tenders. And it is even made to look so helpless that and the following day, Ruto and Raila say, oh, CDF must come to an end. A name and photos for some of them. A number of Kenyans are in court to say that shouldn't happen because this is our taxes. With your gumboots, every woman comes with a leso to queue for a check of 3,000 shillings. That is what we realized. And says the cost of free primary and secondary education, when we seal all the leakages, should be about 500 billion. Disbursement, proper negotiation. Because Kenya is the only place where government, one of the many places in Africa maybe, the rest of the world, because of the economies of scale, payment is also prompt. But in Kenya is where everything that is supplied is ×3 on the lower side. The markups are crazy before we even get to the scandals that the Auditor General has told us.
So I just want until tomorrow because I cannot imagine the amount of money that's being lost. If the entire education system can literally be covered by 500 billion, and with 700 recently showed that eCitizen had, the Office of the Auditor General revealed that 44.8 billion Kenyan shillings collected through eCitizen digital pay accounted for. 44 billion. That is a lot of money. And then this report goes on to say a total of 100, I think this is 100 billion, I'm very bad with the number, government digital payments. So every single payment that went through that system, 44 billion is unaccounted for. And apparently, they did not maintain proper records. They could not reconcile the revenue collected with the actual transactions, and they private. It's 3 private companies, one that does the USSD code, the other one that does the transfer of the money, handles the transfer of the money, and then the webmasters who control the portal that you use. And these 3, all of them across the board, are allowed to dismantle that infrastructure in case that their contract is terminated. That is an actual thing that's in their contract. And I don't know who was writing this contract, but sell that data anywhere. Or it's already being sold because there's no accountability structure. So I'm just going to go directly to this question. How do you fix something like this? How do you fix the accountability of such a critical infrastructure that collects so much?
It should have never happened. The fact that we're talking about how Shisha came should have never happened. Yeah. Completely illegal. It's crazy. Because even when you're talking about 3 companies that have access to the entire population, really, because it came down our throats you must do this. Yes. Otherwise, you wouldn't have access to health. And there was a story done, I don't know if it's a week ago, a few days ago, where there was to go for his chemo. And then Dwale puts up a post. Frankly speaking, all these people should be in jail. They should be arrested. How are we talking about billions unaccounted for that Kenyans are being forced to pay through our salaries? It's amazing that we're still continuing with life, because I even know people who family members are stuck in hospital because they can't afford to remove them. So their bills are just accumulating. And even somewhere NHIF, when it comes to contributing, they don't give a damn. They're like, we will take that money by fire, by force.
And they say you have to pay up to a year for SHA for you to access healthcare. And some people are not even earning money.
Yes, and people will pay that amount for a year because they're trying to help a relative. Then they come back and say, oh, we can't because of this reason. So now you have wasted that money in terms of even trying to pay it. So
it's like a lot of foolery. And Parliament, I'm trying to, MPs, there's two committees because eCitizen falls under the Security Ministry, the Interior Ministry, sorry. I think the Public Service Ministry. It's being rotated. So it's like two committees, like the Security and National Administration Committee and ICT have initiated investigations into the eCitizen contract that allows them to dismantle it.
It is a curse. One, it's that multiple ownership. For what? For what? It is so illegal because all money ought to go to the consolidated fund. How it is going to 3 companies. Imagine if as our leaders borrowed and stole the debt, and now we have to repay. Last year, the Auditor General tabled the fraud of eCitizen early, before we even lost the 40 billion. It was a lower figure. Chief of Staff, that illegal position.
Yes.
Chief of Staff is an illegal position, just like the advisors.
Is this government like just going like as many different illegal positions as possible? Like right now we're up to like 5.
Yeah. 5.
Yeah, we are forgetting about all the 20 advisors. Yeah.
Then when the blood-based merger happened, they had to split state departments to appoint public principal secretary, flagged eCitizen. They quickly said, this is political. The Office of the Auditor General is targeting us because we have marshaled all the revenue, okay, that ought to be paid. Last year, there was this ridiculous directive that required even comrades in a mess in university to pay for meals through eCitizen. School fees was to be paid through eCitizen. You know, and effort to steal separately. That way, every accounting officer. The court ruled against that and indicated the money must go to the consolidated funds and it must be held directly by the accounting officer. Is capitation for 1.9 million students. Au watajaza kiwanja gani? 1.9 million students. Actually, we just need 1.9 to endele. No arrest. The system is running as usual. Kenya is very recognized for our digital literacy and tech, but they're only good hackers because they are also very good creators of systems. Kenyans pushed back during Huduma Number, and the government said they have created a system that is done by Kenyans and run by Kenyans. Like Nerima said, it should never ever have happened. Parliamentary inquiry should be accompanied by directives. EACC report back. How many people have you arrested? We have seen the shuttling of officials from the Ministry of Education to Ministry of Interior. Those two systems, Kemis, Nemis, eCitizen, Ipora, you know, kutuibia tu, they are being shuffled in between. Nobody has, first, Parliament holds the mandate of oversight to ask all those cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries to step aside. As they step aside, they ought to have fired all the directors so that they go looking for this money. Instead, I'm sure they are part of the groups together with their relatives who are showcasing the latest model of cars on our social media page. And then they ask, you want me to go and go where? You go to jail.
Yes.
Then sit on the scandal. That is not what we signed up for.
I think in this particular moment,
and Parliament
of,
is the weakest link in this entire process.
It really is. I think it's the one arm of government that has just perpetually to see how far they can see what they can get away with. And speaking of things that this particular government has been able to get away with, an activist, Mwabili Mwagodi, protest and even after and encouraging Kenyans to show up, was abducted while he was in Tanzania working, and he was found, I think, in Diani, and he was picked up by human rights activists who helped him record a statement after Mwabili was found. And what ended up happening was the police refused to record a statement. This is where we're at. And earlier when we were speaking off camera, you had brought up the situation where being held in remand with very high bail. Where does this put us in, with Mwabili's situation, where does this put us in a situation regarding human rights? And what does this mean for Kenyans even trying to... That's where we're at. And also, and also we have like a lot of silence from the foreign ministry.
Yeah.
If it's not silence, it's gaslighting, because that's like the two things that they're getting really good at. And can we even guarantee foreign policy dead?
Absolutely. So there's a very worrying trend. So even before Mwabili, you know of Boni and Agatha and what were witch scratchers. Because even before that, remember where Besigye was picked up? It's Nairobi. So you can see, even then, there were activists in Kisumu, Ugandan, who were also picked up and transported to Uganda. They are friends. Not only are they friends, they are protecting each other from their problems. So here comes Ruto and says, this one is a pain. So because I can't deal with them here, ebu, mshike hapo TZ. Do something, mwonyeshe mambo. And the reason why this is scary is because Kenya is seen as the country that has some freedoms. You know, you can come, speak freely. Once you start to see a decline here, it's a worry for the region. In fact, we have intel that it's not just Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, it's all of them. It's even is a huge concern, especially for the young demographic that we have in this country. Now, number two, what are British with Mau Mau, terrorists, criminals? We don't understand their
colonial
goal.
playbook. Like
It is the colonial playbook.
Like just write another book. Like stop being...
Who were literally picked up because they look Gen Z, who were picked up because they were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Some, two sisters, were living, having dinner, they were walking back home, Pikians, who are in this mess. Just picked up and saying, you are connected to Sabasaba and June 25th. I know of a lady, her name is literally Bubbles. Her name is Bubbles online. And she's being charged with 130 million. So
okay, also that's just crazy. Like, Kwani Bubbles has a truck or like a secret warehouse. 130 million worth of goods.
Yeah, we are reading some of those things actually from... How are they at bail without a lawyer? How did this happen? And so where we're seeing a huge growing concern is that now to frustrate these young people so that they are too afraid, they want to teach them a lesson that this is what happens when you're vocal, when you come out, and we're going to show you so that you don't become an example to the rest. And what's really concerning us, but there are representations across the board, but I guarantee you, statistically, from the data we have, 50% of them come from one tribe. I can guarantee you. So you can see...
So it's a tribal targeting.
Yeah. So you can see the playbook that they are pushing terrorism. They happened before a constitution. Now we have one, but they're acting like it doesn't exist. And then when you're even talking about using terrorism, it also doesn't allow these people to be able to have legal representatives. Want to these people, and I've not even mentioned how a number of them are minors. How can you have a 14-year-old, 17 in committee. What is that? Mingling with real criminals? Someone who is in school.
And this government has pardoned, let's go free, this murderer can go free,
rapists.
but a minor is going to committee.
A minor. So even now, even though some of them were dropped, we had a young boy saying, I can't go back to school. People are asking me where I was, and I'm telling them nilikuwa committee. Now no one wants to, he was literally walking home from school. And you picked him for what? So those are the cases that we're seeing, and we cannot continue to remain silent because we're actually watching in front of our eyes our rights. They did it with judiciary, they are doing it with parliament, they did it with the executive. They are coming for the citizen, they are coming for us directly now. And that is the scariest thing.
That is very scary. So our time is up, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
It's regarding our education system, about our accountability structure, about our legal justice system, and just the rights of everyday Kenyans. And I don't like to end the show on like, Woye tutakufa. I don't like that kind of We're not going to take this lying down. We're going to use the tools that we are equipped with to make sure that our country as it stands right now, and the future of not just ourselves, but our kids and everyone that comes after us is very protected. What would you like to see when education is funded? What are the things that you would like to go away, and what would you like that to be replaced with? And how do you encourage Kenyans to
Smile about paying tax in this country. Every time I pay tax, I know children from preschool daycare to early childhood, primary, junior, dead by government. You can tax my salary 70%, but fund education, fund healthcare. It is a workable model. It is something we have aspired for ourselves. That is why Article 53, Article 43, I want to enjoy paying tax because it's being utilized well. In the meantime, I am praying that the rule of law kicks in, and the same brute force that is being used to arrest people who are speaking up or people who found themselves in the wrong places and they are given bail terms in an economy. That never again will we elect leaders who do not give us how much they have filed in KRA returns, how much they own, like a prop be using all our taxes for free, for political empowerment and stealing, then you come back and you cannot steal from us and tax us, then kill us and lead us. No, it ends now. If you do not have a vote, take it. It is linked to your tax. It is linked.
I'm going to go to you.
I just feel like saying what Diana has said. I endorse.
That's a good one. Yeah. That's also very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. You endorse is it?
No. Okay, but for real,
does so much.
I'm spoiled for choice where my son goes to school in terms of public school. I don't want to avoid public schools. I really hope that I can get to take my son to a public school happily, joyfully, and that's what the Kenya I want. Yeah. That's the Kenya I want.
That's makes me sad is that at the moment, and this is something I say all the time to my sister, is as it stands, education in this country, elimu ni nguvu ya mfuko. And that's very tragic. No one should be fighting to educate their systems before you pass that. Nerima's child can walk into any public school and get a beautiful education. We deserve to be in spaces where our future is not determined by the tender that was signed. And if you're one of those thieves, by the mean kikupata nitakupiga. Okay, sina hiyo nguvu, but still, it's about the vibe. You know, it's about my will to actually make sure that we live in a better country. And I want to thank you, Diana, and I thank you, Nerima, for coming. Thank you so much to our audience for